Welcome back to the Books Bible Study. We are going through the entire Bible. We are reading it chapter by chapter, 2 chapters a day, one chapter at 8 a.m., another chapter at 7 p.m. Please follow along with us. We are now on Genesis chapter 37, verse 1. Now Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. Okay, so we did that brief history in chapter 36 of the Edomites and the Horites, right? So now we're back to Jacob, or Israel. Verse 2. This is the history of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought a bad report of them to his father. So the maid sons that they're talking about was Gad, Asher, Dan, and Naphtali. Okay. Verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age. Also, he made him a tunic of many colors. Verse 4. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably with him. But so Benjamin is younger than Joseph. So for it to say that Joseph was the son of his old age, and he also had more children after that, I also think there was some favoritism because Joseph's mother was Rachel, whom he actually loved, right? And so I think maybe the envy between the sisters, I believe some of the children probably saw that going on as well, and it passed down to the sons. Verse 5. Now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. Verse 6. So he said to them, please hear this dream which I have dreamed. Verse 7. There we were, binding sheaves in the field. Then behold, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And indeed, your sheaf stood all around and bowed down to my sheaf. Verse 8. And his brothers said to him, shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us? So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Oh my goodness. They're hating his dreams because they see it's already favoritism, right? But even in that, there is some truth behind that. So now he's dreaming about him being in a position higher than him. And we will see later on if that comes true or not. Verse 9. Then he dreamed still another dream and told it to his brothers and said, look, I have dreamed another dream. And this time the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed down to me. Verse 10. So he told it to his father and his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said to him, what is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come to bow down to the earth before you? Verse 11. And his brothers envied him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Verse 12. Then his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. Verse 13. And Israel said to Joseph, are not your brothers feeding the flock in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them. So he said to him, here I am. Verse 14. Then he said to him, please go and see if it is well with your brothers and well with the flocks, and bring back word to me. So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. So we see Joseph is kind of like Israel's eyes, right? Early in this chapter, we see him giving his dad a bad report about his other brothers, and now he's sending him out to check on the other brothers. So he's sending Joseph a couple of days' journey to check on the flock and to check on the other boys. Okay, so y'all kind of see what's going on with this sibling rivalry. Verse 15. Now a certain man found him, and there he was wandering in the field, and the man asked him, saying, what are you seeking? Verse 16. So he said, I am seeking my brothers. Please tell me where they are feeding their flocks. Verse 17. And the man said, they have departed from here, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. Verse 18. Now when they saw him afar off, even before he came near them, they conspired against him to kill him. We saw in the other verses where they hated him, and he told them a dream. They hated him some more. He told him another dream, and they hated him even more. Right? So now at this point, they're conspiring to kill him. And we already know that they're capable of killing people after what they did to all the men in Shechem. right? When they took advantage of his sister. Verse 19. Then they said to one another, look, the dreamer is coming. Verse 20. Come therefore, let us now kill him and cast him into some pit, and we shall say some wild beast has devoured him. We shall see what will become of his dreams. These brothers are something else. 21. But Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. Verse 22. And Reuben said to them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, that he might deliver him out of their hands and bring him back to his father. Right? So Reuben kind of got a heart for his brother. I don't know about the rest of them. Verse 23. So it came to pass when Joseph had come to his brothers that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the tunic of many colors that was on him. Verse 24. Then they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, for there was no water in it. Verse 25. And they sat down to eat a meal while their brother was in the pit with no water in it. Okay. Then they lifted their eyes and looked, and there was a company of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels, bearing spices, balm, and myrrh, on their way to carry them down to Egypt. Verse 26. So Judah said to his brothers, what profit is there if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Not Judah. Not Judah. The one, no. So are you all guessing which tribes of Israel or which one of the boys will fulfill the promise and keep the covenant? If you've already read the New Testament, you already know. But for those who haven't read the Bible yet, can you guess between all of these boys which one is going to fulfill the covenant? Which one is Jesus going to come through? It looks like Joseph, right? He's the dreamer, but you can't really tell because like Reuben tries to save him, but Reuben also slept with his stepmother. And now we have Judah trying to make a profit off of his brother. Simeon and Levi killed all those men in Shechem and took their wives and all their livestock. Basically plundered the whole town. The concubine's sons probably don't like him because he went back to give his dad a bad report about their work. So this is what Judah says, verse 27. Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. Okay. And his brothers listened, verse 28. Then Midianite traders passed by. So the brothers pulled Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. So remember, the Ishmaelites are still their relatives, right? This is the brother to their grandfather Isaac, okay? But as far as we know, the Ishmaelites were cast out way before they came on the scene, so that Sarah could have some peace, okay? So they took Joseph to Egypt, verse 29. Then Reuben returned to the pit, and indeed Joseph was not in the pit, and he tore his clothes. So he must have left while they were eating and sold him and thought he was going to come back and get him, right? Verse 30. And he returned to his brothers and said, the lad is no more, and I, where shall I go? Verse 31. So they took Joseph's tunic, killed the kid of the goats, and dipped the tunic in the blood. Verse 32. Then they sent the tunic of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, we have found this. Do you know whether it is your son's tunic or not? Now they know. They know, and then they know their father know that that's his tunic, right? Verse 33, and he recognized it and said, it is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him. Without doubt, Joseph is torn in pieces, 2 pieces. Verse 34. Then Jacob tore his clothes, put sackcloth on his waist, and mourned for his son many days. So I do see in this chapter, it's still switching from Jacob to Israel. After God said that he shall be called Israel. I wonder if that's intentional, or like when he starts acting like Jacob and not Israel. I don't know. Or if that's intentional with the writer of this chapter. I don't know. But I do notice they're switching back and forth from Jacob to Israel. Verse 35. And all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I shall go down into the grave to my son in mourning." Thus his father wept for him. So they wanted to kill him, decided not to kill him, sold him instead, and now they're trying to comfort their father. Verse 36. Now the Midianites had sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. So now the favored son is sold into slavery. He is no longer in the promised land, right? But he's in the land of those who do not fear God and eventually will enslave them, right? So are you all following the story so far? I know when we hear Bible stories, we kind of hear bits and pieces, but I believe it's good to kind of see from the beginning to the end, and also see how God uses mistakes and uses things and also uses people that we may not think are qualified, right? But at some point there's a change that happens, and God is the one that do the qualifying, right? So if you have not read the Bible before, then I want you to kind of guess, just using your mind, who you think the promised seed is going to come out of. Which of the 12 boys of Israel? Those of you that have read the end, you know who it is. So the next chapter is going to be really interesting for those that do know who it is. And it also teaches us that God's plans are way bigger than ours, right? And also that he uses everything. Like, he uses everything. He uses our mistakes. He uses our obedience, right? He is God, and he's just that big. So even if and when you make a mistake, you're not too far gone. If you still have breath, God can still do the thing that he wants to do with you, right? So God bless, and stay tuned for Genesis chapter 38.